Welcome to this edition of Valley Newsline. Hello, I'm your host, Ron Whitlock. We're coming to you today from south of Mission, south of McAllen, close to the banks of the Rio Grande River, near the site of the soon-to-be constructed Anzalduas International Bridge. A bridge that's been in the making for many years, primarily sponsored by the city of McAllen. The groundbreaking here to be held today. We're covering for you here on Valley Newsline because it's going to be quite an extraordinary event. It's going to be something that's going to be very important for the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas, another link between South Texas and the United States, and our neighbor to the south, Mexico. We're going to be talking to, hopefully, some of the Mexican officials likewise. Let's go on and visit with some of the people we have already seen here in the tent. We saw Congressman Kiko de la Garza just a moment ago. I'm going to talk to Congressman de la Garza, see what he thinks about it. Congressman, could we visit with you just a moment?
Sure.
What do you think about the groundbreaking here for the Anzalduas Bridge? Something I'm sure you've watched for many, many years since you left office, I'm sure. Maybe even while you were in office. Did you do anything at all to try and get this bridge built?
Oh, yes. I handled the original permit legislation in Washington. It's been a long time coming, but...
You remember what year that was?
Oh, my gosh. It was in the years when Clark Spikes was mayor of Mission. So that had to be in the late 60s.
Wow, so this is really a project that's been in the making for decades.
Right.
How important is it that it's finally going to happen?
It's very important because the congestion on the downriver bridges is getting almost out of control, and this will be helpful. I think this probably may be the last of the bridges unless Los Ébanos builds a bridge. So this is very important. A lot of people worked on it, but I'm glad that I was one of the ones.
Carlos Costas, the Republican county judge in Cameron County, has suggested to President Bush and to our two senators that we need to be building more bridges and not building walls along the Rio Grande. Do you agree?
Well, yes, but that's a slogan type. Yes, you need more bridges rather than a wall, and I don't agree with the wall at all myself for many reasons, and I would agree with him.
What would be the number one reason you'd be opposed to building a wall along the natural barrier of the Rio Grande, Congressman de la Garza?
Main thing is, well, many things. It disrupts wildlife. It cuts into private property. On the lower end, of course, it's government property. But we have the levees now from south of here all the way to the Gulf. That's a barrier. But all I say is if the wall didn't work in Berlin where you got killed, if you went over, it didn't work there, it's not going to work here. I think it's people that don't know the area, don't know the culture, don't know how we interact on both sides of the river, and it's not anything that would be very helpful. I haven't really heard from the Border Patrol that it would interfere with their objectives.
Congressman, it's always a pleasure to see you here at the groundbreaking of the Anzalduas International Bridge. Mayor Cortez, how are you?
Morning. How are you?
Fine, fine.
Rod, good to see you.
We're live on Valley Newsline. Don't
wonderful.
escape here if you want to. The mayor was on last Sunday. I told him we weren't going to talk to him very much here today, but we will anyway. Tell the audience your name, sir.
My name is Arturo Guerra, Art Guerra they call
And
me.
we're not going to talk about our days at Pan American College,
No, we're
are
not
we?
going to do that. The days when we were brilliant students, no.
How important is the building of this bridge to the valley, Art?
I think it's going to be one of the most phenomenal things that ever happened to this area for economic development purposes and growth. I think we're sitting on a situation right now that there's going to be incredible growth, prosperity for this area. We're witnessing here an incredible, in my lifetime, historical situation coming down here in Hidalgo County. I'm just thrilled to death.
Congressman De La Garza suggested that he's opposed to building a wall and thinks we ought to build more bridges. You agree?
I don't think a wall is going to accomplish anything. I think that there's always going to be ways to cross those walls. I think law enforcement, I think worker programs, I think law enforcement alone cannot do it, Ron. I think that it's a combination of work programs combined with law enforcement. That's what I feel.
Mayor? Sir. We're building bridges in Hidalgo County, south of McAllen, and not walls today. How about that?
Well, I think that's exciting news. We've been working on this thing for 15 years, Ron, and we're finally coming here. It's a collaborative effort of many, many people. This is an exciting day.
Congressman De La Garza said he made the initial application. He thinks it was in the 60s, sometime about 40 years ago. Yeah. Tells you how long it takes to build a bridge, but apparently it doesn't take long to build a wall, according to Homeland Security.
Unfortunately, that's true. And, a lot of debates going on, and hopefully as more information comes in and the proper debate takes place, America will come to right senses and realize that a wall is not the answer. I just had some people from Mexico come in to tell me and says, I talked to some immigrants, and they said, they were from South America, and they said, we've gotten this far, and we're here. Do you really think a wall is going to stop us now? So unfortunately, that's the truth.
Governor Perry came to the Valley and said that a 10-foot wall is only going to increase the 12-foot ladder business.
Well, I agree with that. I want to be an investor in that because I think it's going to happen. They're going to go over it, under it, or through it.
Thank you, Mayor, for being with us.
Thank you.
We're going to spend a little bit more time visiting with folks here. We have Commissioner John Ingram, and we're going to talk to him. Commissioner Ingram, welcome to Valley Newsline.
Mr. Whitlock, how are you doing?
Fine. We're building walls in Hidalgo County, or we're building bridges. Which of the two are you involved with today?
Well, I'm involved with building bridges. I think that's the most important thing we do here on the border.
Not walls.
Pardon, not walls. No, we have... Here on the border, we love each other. We have families and friends on both sides of this border, and we need to keep that in mind.
So you're opposed to building a wall and the message it sends to our neighbors and family to the south?
Well, I understand the concerns of those who want to build the wall, and I think they're valid concerns, and they need to be addressed. But in my view, the wall is not the way to address those concerns.
Who else we need to talk to here today? Anybody that you come in contact with that can give a good insight as to why this bridge is so important to be built?
Well, we have the head of our Chamber of Commerce, Steve Elanius. He's been very active in this debate.
Where's Steve? I don't see him.
He's right over there with the hat on.
Oh, yeah, I see. There he is. Okay, good. We're going to sneak on over here and see if we can talk to Steve Elanius, who's the head of the McAllen Chamber of Commerce. Steve, Commissioner John Ingram, pardon me for interrupting. Commissioner John Ingram suggested we talk to you and get a quote of how significant this is to have the groundbreaking finally after some 40 years of trying to get this bridge built.
Oh, it's huge for a lot of communities, and it's going to make, for folks coming out of Monterey, much easier to cross over. It's going to cut about 45 minutes just in their commute time and wait time at the bridge. And so it's going to be huge in terms of giving us an advantage in competing against Laredo and in turn San Antonio. And again, how easy do we make it for people to come across and shop and spend money?
Where'd you get your hat?
This was a Father's Day gift, and I keep telling everybody I thought this was the racetrack groundbreaking.
And your bow tie, is that a Father's Day gift also? Is this a
Absolutely.
New Steve Elanius look?
No, this is a hot summer look.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think I might see if I can find that brand myself. Because you look at the old movies, Steve, and I know this is not talking about groundbreaking for bridges, and everybody's wearing hats.
That's right.
And in those days, they probably didn't have very much skin cancer on their faces.
That's right. I've started a new trend. Hats are coming back.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Steve. And we see that the officials have gone to the podium, and the groundbreaking ceremony is now beginning. We'll take you now to that ceremony.
My name is Carlos Garza. I'm the chairman of the Anzalduas Bridge Board. And on behalf of the General Services Administration and the Anzalduas Bridge Board, I want to welcome every one of you here this morning for this very, very special occasion. Let me begin this morning by introducing the members of the Anzalduas Bridge Board. Representing the City of Mission, Mayor Norberto Salinas. If you'll stand. Representing the City of Hidalgo, Mayor John David Franz. Representing the City of Granjeno, Mayor Alberto Magayan. Representing the City of McAllen, Mayor Richard Cortez. Board Member Commissioner Marcus Barrera. And Mr. David Guerra. It's been a long road to get here. There's been a lot of partners involved, and I certainly want to recognize those partners. Again, we've had a great partnership with the cities that are involved, the City of Hidalgo, the City of Mission, and the City of Granjeno. Of course, we all know that the Hunt Group has played a major role in bringing this day into being. Various government agencies have taken a big part. I mentioned General Services Administration. I also mentioned Customs and Border Protection, but there are many others, such as IBWC, Fish and Wildlife, and believe it or not, the U.S. Coast Guard. And you're probably wondering why the U.S. Coast Guard would be involved in this bridge. Well, believe it or not, years ago there were paddle boats that used to come up as far as Roma and Rio Grande City, and it still takes U.S. Coast Guard approval to build a bridge over the Rio Grande River. So there you have it, nice piece of history. When I look at today, I think today marks the beginning to the end of our journey, a journey that began with a vision for the future of this region and the impact that increased cross-border trade would have in a post-NAFTA environment. To get here has taken countless hours on the part of many elected officials, volunteers, and members of the staffs of the various cities participating in this project. It even took the involvement of some consultants and lawyers, if you can imagine that. How did we get here? In 1990, Mayor Othelbrand and Mike Allen and others from this area met in Dallas with members of the Hunt Group's management team to solicit their support for the project. Soon after, the city received a letter from Mr. George McVeigh indicating their interest in the project, and more importantly, the possibility of donating acreage required to build the port facility and the bridge span. Once we had the commitment of Hunt, it was off to Washington to obtain a presidential permit. The original application was filed in 1992, and 6 long years passed before we were successful. At that point, it seemed like we were not far from beginning the construction of this facility. But soon we learned otherwise. We learned that, and I learned that coordinating a binational effort was much more complicated than it first seemed. Through the last 9 years, we worked towards meeting every requirement and crossing every hurdle which we encountered, and at last we are here. What does this project represent to all of us that live in this region? Well, hopefully it means that possibilities for expansion of our relationships with our neighbors in Mexico are greatly increased. It means that as companies look to expand their manufacturing capabilities along the border and evaluate the alternatives, we will be on the top of the list. It means that job, training, and educational opportunities will increase for those that we serve. It means that for those of us who have relatives living in northern Mexico, the frequency and ease with which we visit each other might increase. In short, it means that the opportunity to increase the quality of life for all of us is greatly enhanced. This journey will end in approximately 22 months when we hope to be celebrating the opening of this great facility. At this time, I'd like to invite our 4 mayors to offer a few comments, and after them, I'd like to invite Ty DeBerry, representing Mr. Scott Army, the head director of the General Services Administration for the southwestern part of the United States, to offer a few comments.
I want to thank first the governor of Mexico, which is Eugenio Hernandez Flores, for working hard with us and starting the hard work of trying to get Mexico to give us a diplomatic note. And he got very, very behind this bridge, and it made it happen. I also want to thank the Mayor of Reynosa for working very closely with us, Mr. Cabeza de Vaca. It's going to be good for us in Mission to have this bridge. And I've been in office 9 years, and I'm going to be glad that I'm going to be able to see this bridge. Got this ribbon in 22 months, but you don't know how much it means to us to work together with McAllen. And McAllen has really, really worked together with us. It helped us not only on the bridge project, but in other projects. And I also want to thank John David Franz for working very close with us and allowing us to build this bridge, because it's going to generate some more cars from Hidalgo over here. But he's been very brave and very encouraged of this bridge, so I want to thank John David for that. It's a good day for Mission, and hopefully we'll get it done. Thank you all very much.
This is a great day for the United States and for Mexico, and thank you, Norberto, for those kind words. All I can say is that the community of Hidalgo is very proud to be a part of linking the United States with Mexico. I'm reminded of what Congressman De La Garza said many, many years ago while speaking in Hidalgo. He said the Rio Grande does not divide the United States and Mexico, it unites us. And this is a perfect example of that. With people talking about fences and walls, we in Hidalgo are proud to be linking with Mexico, and hopefully our country will take notice of this and will restore some sensibility in Washington. So it's great to be here, and we look forward to building this bridge.
On behalf of the people, residents of Gran Geno, I want to thank everybody that was involved in bringing this project to a beginning, and I hope that I'm around to see when it is completed. Thank you very much.
Our area here is going to be home to over 2.6 million people on the northern side of Mexico and the south side of the United States. A river, yes, doesn't divide us, but it brings us together. And in order for us to be able to enjoy that relationships that we fostered for decades, you know, we need these bridges to help us. I want to especially thank our colleagues, all the mayors that have been involved in this process, because none of the things can happen without leadership, and it's important how the leaders work together to solve these problems. We, of course, are representing our individual cities, but we can't lose sight that we live in the region, and what's good for any other city in the region is good for ourselves. And I'm very happy to be working with such three great persons that really added a lot of leadership to this process. And of course, you know, it always helps to have a good business private partner like the Hunts. And I want to thank them for their continued investment in our area. I think together we're going to be able to be very competitive in this global economy that we're facing with. So again, thank you, and let's enjoy and celebrate. But however, I want to remind everybody that this is the end of one goal, but the beginning of the next one. Thank you.
This has been a long road, and GSA is committed to substantially shortening the process that it normally takes for us to construct a port of entry facility by using a design-build process. And so with that, we're hoping to be open in June 2009. Thank you all so much, and we truly are excited for the communities that this will have such a positive impact on.
Thank you, mayors, and thank you, Ty, and thank all of you for participating this morning. And at this time, I'd like to invite you to find some dirt here somewhere where we're going to actually break ground. Hope you can join us.
Well, the ceremony is complete. The ground has been broken. How important is this for the economy of northern Mexico and South Texas?
We think it's huge. We think that this puts us in a very, very competitive position as you try to evaluate alternatives up and down the border. And we think that as the manufacturing complexes on both sides of the river continue to increase, McAllen Reynosa is going to be the obvious choice.
And as Mayor Franz said, we're building bridges here in South Texas, not walls.
It's my opinion that since President Clinton signed the presidential permit in 1998, it raised the level of awareness of the potential in the Rio Grande Valley and its proximity to Mexico and that when that united both Mexico and Texas, that we were going to increase trade and commerce as we have seen happening even before we finished the bridge. But getting the bridge built is going to leapfrog the levels of trade and commerce, which are already exceeding 500 billion because of NAFTA. Canada, Mexico, the United States have created this NAFTA agreement that has created jobs and helped us reduce that 22% unemployment rate that we had back in 1996 to what it is today, 6%. So I'm pleased to work with Carlos Garza, with George Ramon, with George McVeigh, Mike Allen, and several others who in the very beginning brought me up to a better understanding of the difficulties that they had gone through in getting the presidential permit. And thank God that I had a good relationship with the president, and he gave us hope. And within a couple of years, we were able to get the permit.
Congressman Hinojosa and Chairman Garza, the legacy of President Bush being a popular Texas governor, retiring to the Crawford Ranch, now with immigration reform down the drain apparently until he's out of the White House, is his legacy going to be the building of a wall along the Rio Grande as opposed to fostering trade with more bridges?
He signed the bill that permitted the $1 billion to build a fence, so that is something that he will have to explain, how he can come down here on that hearing that he did in Sherryland by the river, and that he would never allow that to happen, but yet he signed the legislation, and he will have to explain to our part of South Texas why he did that.
Congressman Senator Hinojosa and Senator Lucio both are somewhat shocked that this is apparently going to be his legacy, being a wall along the border of his own state.
You know, that's I'm on the business side. I think that's a better political question. But let me say this though: it was his budget that allowed us the funding to be able to build this bridge, and that was a couple of budgets ago. But you know, the immigration issue is going to continue to be a topic that we're going to have to battle with. I don't think that from our local perspective and attracting manufacturing concerns that is going to hamper us in any way. So I think that the immediate impact as far as creating new job opportunities, training and educational opportunities, it's going to stay positive.
What about the idea, the option of using this $1.2 billion to build the third dam and reservoir called for in the 44 Treaty, Congressman? That would elevate the natural barrier, provide water for the natural barrier of the Rio Grande to be elevated and be a positive thing as opposed to a negative thing as a wall. Your reaction to that option?
The appropriations process doesn't work that way. The appropriations process followed the orders of the House of Representatives, which was a majority Republican, and by the Senate, which was a majority Republican, and they were able to pass under their majority this piece of legislation building the wall, and it was President Bush, as I repeat, who signed that order. So again, a lot of things could be repaired, but it's going to take quite an effort and some heavy lifting to reverse the use of that money into something much more useful.
Mr. Chairman, congratulations.
Good. Appreciate
on
it.
your success.
Thank
now
you.
Your bridge will be completed, hopefully, ojalá, as we say in South Texas,
That's right.
in 22 months.
That's about the timetable.
So
yes.
Valley Newsline will be back here in 22 months, and we'll drive across the bridge together.
We'll have a much bigger celebration in 22
Thank you very
months.
much for joining us.
In scope.
Thank you for joining
you.
us here on Valley Newsline. Until next Sunday, adios.